let's go to Atlanta, shall we? Where you and I both called the Yellow Jackets upsetting Clemson outright. Sure enough, 24-21, the Wreck rambles a 55-yard walk-off field goal for Aiden Burr to cement this one. And, listen, from Georgia Tech's standpoint, this was pretty much business as usual. It was a lot of ground game, kind of quarterback power, student body left, student body right from Haynes King. He rushes for over 100 yards, but he also threw for over 200 yards. Georgia Tech shot themselves in the foot a couple of times early where it felt like it should have been 14, 17 nothing Georgia Tech. They let Clemson hang around, and to their credit, the Tigers stay in it. They even took the lead at one point, but Georgia Tech finds a way to get it done inside the friendly confines of Bobby Dodd. They're undefeated. They're 3-0. Clemson is now on life support at 1-2. You and I both picked them as our national championship pick. So more impressed with Georgia Tech, more disappointed with Clemson.
It's my answer is yes. I think my answer to that is just yes. First off, I want to make a point. We should always, from now on, just be able to hear the replay booth. That should always be the standard.
Amen.
Forever.
Amen.
Everyone should put a mic in there. We can do it next week on every single game. There's no reason to not.
Exactly.
I thought that was so cool. I thought, there were moments where, I didn't have a chance to kind of maybe you could see it this way because they just explained it so well that I was like, yeah, sure, okay, I'm with you. And I think that would do a lot for transparency and being able to understand where the refs are actually going with some of these calls. So that's the first part. I kind of had two different points on this where I really wanted to focus in. Number one, Haynes King is an absolute gladiator. I've said it a couple of times, but I want to keep reiterating it, man. Haynes King, he just chooses to win and then does it. I'm so happy for him, for his career. Obviously, the ups and the downs and not quite working out at A&M and then transferring over. I'm so thrilled for him that they're finally coming out on top of some of these and getting some huge wins. Obviously, the upset last year against Miami and this one as well. Big for this school. Super happy for him, Brent Key, the whole group. They're just tough. I saw one that was it was the meme of the Simpsons kid that gets thrown through the window head first, right? And that's just Haynes King and their offensive game plan is you're just gonna throw his body forward with no regards for his health or longevity. And it's awesome because he's truly just putting himself out there. He loves ball. He loves the contact. He's a national treasure, and Georgia Tech is better for it. So I'm thrilled for them. And I think that a lot of the grittiness and the toughness that Georgia Tech has shown comes from your coach, and it goes all the way down. Obviously, Brinke, very popular coach there. He went there, he played there, and being able to kind of lean on that emotion and that passion and get the most out of his guys is honestly inspiring and something I don't think we see enough of in today's college football. But on the flip side, look, there were moments for Clemson where I was typing out, oh, here comes Clemson. Here's the Clemson we thought we knew and loved, right? There's that 3rd and 22 draw that kind of just picked up the first down. And I'm like, this is going to be where it switches, right? They're going to go down there. They scored. And I'm like, great. They're not out of this thing. They came storming out at the half. And I'm like, here they are. And as I'm typing out, here's the Clemson we all know and love. They throw that pick, and it's going back the other way to the 50. And look, there were just too many mistakes, right? I think there's moments where you looked at Clemson and you thought, wow, this is a far superior team. This is just a way better team than Georgia Tech, but they can't put it together. They can't stay consistent. They can't, find their way across the finish line. And it's honestly one of the most baffling things because they have the talent. I mean, Bryant Westcoat, he did his thing on that touchdown. He did what you expect him to do. Why can't he do that more often? Why can't we feed him more? Why can't we find ways to spring him? Why can't Cade Klubnik figure out how to find his guy when he needs to? I just don't understand what's happened with this Clemson team. I'm going to probably go back and watch them a lot closer this next week because, man, I'm just so confused as to what the problem is. I know they don't run the ball super effectively right now, and that might be part of it, but man, it's no fun, very confusing, and it leaves a lot of questions about Dabo and kind of what's going on there. I don't want to be hot seat guy because of what he's done for the program, but there's got to be some questions answered for what's going on at Clemson.
Yeah, it does seem like Clemson is less than the sum of their parts. And a lot of that starts at the quarterback spot. If you want to throw up Andrew's comment in the YouTube chat, that entire quarterback class is not looking great right now. I don't have an answer because, quite frankly, you just can't think of a quarterback from that class that has consistently put it together on a week in, week out basis. We've seen Cade Klubnik be an all-star, be a superstar, a kid that, given the roster that Clemson has right now, he should be able to lead this team to an undefeated year and a national championship. And that was why you and I picked them as our champions, is because the roster just checks all of the boxes. The talent oozes from Clemson, South Carolina. The schedule was not that hard, not that difficult. They should have beaten LSU at home. They frankly should have beaten Georgia Tech on the road. And now I'm wondering not if they go 10-2 and have a chance at getting to the college football playoff. I'm wondering where the next one they drop is. Because this team that has every single roster spot filled with a 4 or 5 star, any holes plugged from the portal for the first time ever, physical on the defensive line, explosive weapons on the outside. The only question mark coming in was who's your running back one, and Adam Randall, quite frankly, has handled that well. And yet we're sitting here talking about a 1-2 Clemson team that just doesn't seem to have the juice to get it done. It's really confounding. It's confusing. It doesn't make any sense. I wrote in our notes that Garrett Riley, the offensive coordinator, has a failing grade for me. I have not been impressed with what he's done with all of that talent. The game plan just it feels clunky. It feels uncoordinated. It does not feel like Cade Klubnik is very comfortable, and it doesn't really feel like anybody is on the same page. And so I think that's a large part of my frustration. The defense honestly played well. They gave up some big runs. Obviously, they get put in a tough spot there where they've got to even keep Georgia Tech from getting into field goal range. And honestly, they did a pretty good job at that too, forcing a 55-yarder at the gun with a fire drill. It wasn't even call a timeout, get everything settled. Georgia Tech had to run everybody on there with 15 seconds, set up, and kick the field goal, kind of all in one motion. But for me, the Clemson woes start with the offensive side. And I just think that Garrett Riley's proven week in and week out he's not the right fit there. I don't know who the right fit is, but to waste all of that talent, it's not Tom Allen's fault on the defensive side.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. To go kind of back to the 23 class, I went and looked it up, and it's kind of interesting. I love this list. You just go Arch Manning, Nico, Dante Moore. I'm going to kind of stick my neck out for Dante Moore.
Yeah, he's looking
played
good.
pretty well.
Yeah.
He's looked a lot better in Oregon. Jackson Arnold, I got some questions about him. Malachi Nelson, Jaden Rashada, Aiden Childs, maybe kind of okay.
Not elite.
He's
hadn't been elite.
not elite. Eli Holstein was the 12th ranked quarterback in that class. He's been all right for Pitt.
Yep.
And then I'd like to just point out that the number 20 quarterback in that class is named Marcel Reed, and he put up almost 400 yards of offense in South Bend tonight. So I'll just throw that out there for the 23 class as well. But yeah, it's a very shocking list of just a bunch of, wait, who is he? Wait, does he still play? Wait, where is he now? Like, again, going up to, what was it, Malachi Nelson, and we're like, he's at UTEP? Like, what's going on there? So, yeah, very confusing class, obviously. And that's where I think with this era of development, transfer portal, and everything else, being able to have a guy at the quarterback spot right now with how massive of a miss that class was, I think is a huge deal.
I'm with you, and I think that's why a team like Georgia Tech that has a kid like Haynes King, who just finds a way to get it done, right? I mean, like, listen, is Haynes King an NFL quarterback? No, he's not. But he's a very good athlete, and he's a winner. And he talked about that in the post-game press conference. All the questions are coming to him. Hey, you put this team on your back. You led this game-winning drive. He's very quick to say, like, hey, it's not a one-man show. He very much is a cog in the machine that is the rambling wreck, and they've rambled to a 3-0 start. They look physical on the defensive side. I've been very impressed with the strides that Georgia Tech has taken over these last couple of years under Brent Key. Shout out to safety Omari Daniels, who just balled out an interception, a forced fumble, had a pass defended. He had 7 tackles as well. Had one of the most Herculean athletic interceptions you may ever see to take away a touchdown opportunity from Clemson, and very much contributed to the win there. And, I just think that this defensive front for Georgia Tech has taken on the personification of Brent Key. I know he's an offensive line guy, but that toughness, that grittiness. Garrett, this was the 12th win in a one-score game that Brent Key has reeled off since being the head coach in 2022. It's also the 12th time that they've won outright as an underdog since 2022.
Come on.
You're doing both of those things and winning games in a phone booth. And I start to like you more and more as the season goes along, because very similar to what I said about A&M, they don't have to rely on everything going right to win a game. They don't have to
Mm-hmm.
rely on being at home or having the perfect game script. They can, when it gets messy and when the mud starts getting slung, they can find a way to get towards the finish line and back into the winner's circle. And I, as disappointed as I am in Clemson, I could not be more impressed with just the fight and the toughness that I continue to see from Georgia Tech. And honestly, as terrible as our national championship pick is looking, the pick for Georgia Tech to get to Atlanta
Yep.
is becoming more and more validated. And obviously, that started with both you and I picking them to win that game outright.
Yeah, and I think we both picked them in the playoff too, and that looks a lot better today as well. And this is kind of the big picture for Georgia Tech right now is when you look at Georgia Tech and you try to consider where they are as a program, they're doing all the little things, right? They're winning those tight games. This is a big moment for them to finally capitalize and make it look good nationally, right? Like we've been in on Georgia Tech being a good program, but until they go out there and win their 10 games and beat those big teams like Clemson today, people aren't going to notice and pay attention, right? You beat Miami, you kind of got some attention, but like you also lost Eric Singleton over the offseason.
Yeah.
Bet he'd like to be back right now. And I mean, you think about like what it is to be at Georgia Tech. It's really hard to recruit against Georgia in the state of Georgia. It's really hard to recruit against Florida in the state of Florida, Florida State in the state of Florida, and also in the state of Georgia. Like there's just a lot of talent,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really hard to, take all of that and then move that into results in terms of your recruiting and in terms of your talent. And so if they can capitalize on this and if they can find a way to, convince guys to both stick around and also join the cause, you're going to see Georgia Tech build up a pretty strong program because I totally believe in what Brent Key's doing.
It's exciting, man, and it's a dynamic shift that we've waited for a long time. I know ACC truthers that are, boy, they're they've taken some lumps early. We'll talk about Miami here in a minute, but yeah, Georgia Tech suddenly becomes a great hope, which their playoff candidacy looks real. This is not a flash in the pan team. This is, I think, a very real team that could be there towards the end.